So if you were like me, you were on Twitter today, and you noticed something really exciting. Hashtag President Sanders is trending #1, at least as of recording, in the United States. But it's more than that. Hashtag President Sanders is trending #3 here in Canada, where I live, and it's trending #3 worldwide. This is pretty impressive. This was not a coordinated effort. This is not what a lot of people are calling quote-unquote Russian bots. This is a grassroots sentiment that as we approach 2020, many people in the United States and beyond want to see Bernie Sanders become the next president of the United States of America. That the world is invested in it, that people here in Canada are invested in it. Because we know that the American president has immense power, has immense influence, can do great things, or as we've seen, can do awful things. And we know, we're very confident, that Bernie Sanders, more than anybody else, will help not only make America a better place for Americans, for American workers, for those who need education, for those who need healthcare, for those who need economic and social justice, for those who need a clean environment, but he'll also improve the global standards on all those fronts. Bernie Sanders will negotiate trade deals that put workers and the environment first. Bernie Sanders will not support anti-democratic coups in Bolivia and in other countries in Latin America and around the world. Bernie Sanders will not use America's massive economy to put forward neoliberal anti-worker policies in the developing world and in countries that are seen as, posing a threat to the American economic and political empire. Bernie Sanders will be a fundamentally different president. Internally with domestic policy, but in terms of foreign policy as well. And that's why I think so many people around the world support Bernie Sanders. We know that a single-payer system is the best way forward for healthcare. We know that the Green New Deal is our only way forward to save the environment and ensure that working people get a fair shake. And that the US economy and that the American society has such deep influence, has such prominence, that if it takes the lead in a positive way, all of the other countries will have a much easier time following in that direction. It has this amazing influence, and for so long, it's had, terrible neoliberal leadership. Whether under Republican or Democratic leadership, its presidents, its, chief political officers have not had the interests of working class people at their heart, either domestically or internationally. And Bernie Sanders is different. Bernie Sanders is a fundamental opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity maybe, to elect an American president who has a democratic socialist view of the world and a democratic socialist perspective on how to fix the problems that plague this world. So it's not at all surprising to me to see Bernie Sanders trending #1 in the United States, given how so many people in 2020 have a resolution to build a better society and know that only Bernie Sanders really offers that in any concrete sense. And it's not at all surprising to me to see Bernie Sanders trending here in Canada #3, because Bernie Sanders in some ways represents what a lot of Canadians believe around healthcare and education. And it's not just that Bernie wants to fight for what Canadians already have. He does. But what makes Bernie special is that in some ways, Bernie Sanders' vision would be something that Canada would have to aspire to. His Medicare for All plan is more ambitious than Canadian Medicare. His fight for free university is something that no Canadian province has. His fight for a Green New Deal is more ambitious than anything on offer from our government. For Canadians that want a progressive vision from their southern neighbors, they really only see it from Bernie Sanders. And of course, globally, whether you're in the developing world or in the developed world, a Bernie Sanders presidency will reflect what America at least pretends to be. Bernie Sanders will actually reflect American values of dignity, of equality, of liberty, of opportunity, of freedom. He'll be the only president in generations, if maybe ever, to actually reflect those values on the global stage. So this is great to see. The day before New Year's Eve, right on the cusp of 2020, the end of the decade, Bernie Sanders, hashtag President Sanders, trending worldwide, trending here in Canada, trending in the United States. This is the start of something big. Guys, at first, they tried to ignore Bernie. You know this. You've seen this on my channel. You've seen it on David Dole's channel. You've seen it with Michael Brooks and Secular Talk and everybody else. We've all talked about it. How the media would ignore Bernie Sanders. They'd, mention the first place, the third place, and the fourth place candidate. But oh my, I guess number 2 doesn't exist. But if you've noticed, in the last couple weeks, they haven't been ignoring Bernie anymore. Coverage hasn't all been positive, but it's at least acknowledged his existence. Now, I don't think we should, let our guards down. I think that this is the sign that they're going to ramp up the negative attacks on Bernie over the coming weeks and months, as it looks increasingly like he has a shot at actually winning the nomination and therefore the presidency. But we should all take this as a moment to celebrate that because of grassroots activism, that because of the work of independent media, that because of all of us talking with our friends and families about Bernie Sanders, he can't be ignored anymore. And that hashtag President Sanders can't be silenced by the mainstream media narratives anymore. And that we all have to reckon with the fact that Bernie Sanders is here to stay. He's not going anywhere. He's fighting to build a better world. And there are millions, dozens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people all over the world that support him and support his vision.